The lights dim, the crowd quiets, and somewhere between the first heartbeat of silence and the first note that hasn't been sung yet, you feel it, that pull that makes you lean closer to the screen. Because this isn't just another audition. This is one of those moments you'll remember exactly where you were when it happened. And before we go any further, if stories like this move you, if music that changes lives is your thing, tap that like button and subscribe right now, because what you're about to witness is the kind of miracle you don't want to miss when it happens again. His name is Mateo Cruz, 19 years old, from a small coastal town in the Philippines where mornings begin with fishing boats and evenings end with radios humming old songs through open windows. Mateo grew up in a one-room house with a rusted tin roof that sang louder than any lullaby when the rain came. His father left when he was 6, chasing work that never circled back. His mother worked double shifts at a roadside eatery, her hands always smelling like soap and frying oil, her smile tired but unbreakable. Music was Mateo's escape. Not the polished kind, just an old secondhand radio and a cassette tape that played Elvis Presley on repeat, warped and crackling but magical. While other kids dreamed of fast bikes or big cities, Mateo dreamed of a voice strong enough to be heard, gentle enough to heal. At school, they laughed at him. They said his accent didn't fit the songs he loved, that Elvis belonged to another world, another time. Teachers told him singing was a hobby, not a future. Even when he won small local contests, the prize money barely covered groceries for a week. There were nights Mateo considered quitting, nights when he watched his mother count coins under a flickering bulb and felt guilty for dreaming so big. But every time he sang, something inside him said, "Not yet. Don't stop yet." America's Got Talent felt impossibly far away, another planet made of bright lights and louder dreams. Applying took months. Borrowed internet. Forms filled out in internet cafes. Rejection emails that never came, and acceptance emails he thought were fake. When the final confirmation arrived, his mother cried quietly, afraid to hope too hard. They sold their old motorbike to afford the flight. At the airport, she pressed a small wooden cross into his palm and whispered, "Sing like you mean it. Sing like you're still here." Standing backstage at AGT, Mateo felt small. The hallway buzzed with confidence, acrobats stretching, singers warming up, dancers laughing like they already belonged. He didn't. His hands shook. His English felt clumsy in his mouth. A producer asked what song he'd sing. "Elvis," he said softly. The producer raised an eyebrow. Mateo saw that look before, the polite doubt, the unspoken question. He almost changed his mind. Then his name was called. He walked onto the stage under blinding lights, the judges' table a distant silhouette. Simon Cowell leaned back, arms crossed. The audience clapped politely, not knowing what to expect. Mateo introduced himself, his voice trembling just enough to be honest. When he said he was from the Philippines and loved Elvis Presley, a few murmurs rippled through the crowd. Simon asked why that song. Mateo swallowed and said, "Because his music made me believe I could be more than what people see." The music began. The first note didn't explode, it settled. Warm. Familiar. And then his voice opened up the room. Not an imitation, not a trick, but something deeply lived in. The tone carried years of waiting, of quiet resilience. As he sang, his eyes closed, and the AGT stage disappeared. It was just a boy in a small house, rain on the roof, a mother listening from the next room. The audience leaned forward. Phones lowered. Smiles faded into something else. By the second verse, people were crying. Real tears. The kind that surprise you. Simon sat up. One judge covered her mouth. The camera caught a man in the crowd wiping his eyes, shaking his head like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. Mateo's voice soared, not loud, but true, each note landing like a confession. He wasn't trying to be Elvis. He was telling his own story through Elvis's words. When the final note hung in the air, there was a heartbeat of silence. Then the room erupted. A standing ovation that felt less like applause and more like gratitude. Mateo stood frozen, tears spilling freely now, hands trembling harder than before. Simon stood too. That alone felt unreal. The judges spoke, but their words blurred together: praise, disbelief, admiration. Simon finally said, "This is why this show exists." And in that moment, Mateo understood that the years of doubt, the nights of almost quitting, had led him exactly here. Backstage, he called his mother. She couldn't speak through her tears. Neither could he. The clip went viral within hours. Millions watched. Millions cried. Messages poured in from people who saw themselves in him: immigrants, dreamers, anyone who'd been told their voice didn't belong. Mateo didn't win this season. But he won something bigger. A record deal followed. Concert invitations. More importantly, belief from the world, and finally, from himself. He went home months later, standing on the same dirt road he'd left, now carrying a future he once only imagined. He bought his mother a new house. Not a mansion. Just one that didn't leak when it rained. And remember that first moment, the silence before the song, the feeling that something special was about to happen? That's what this is really about. Proof that talent can rise from anywhere. That your voice matters, even when the world doubts it. If this story moved you, if Mateo's journey reminded you not to give up, show that love, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who needs hope today. Because sometimes, all it takes to change a life is one song, sung honestly, at exactly the right moment.